The dancers dueled, but did we agree? Find out on week 4 of World of Dance.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome to another week of World of Dance here on AfterBuzz TV. I'm Kristyn Burtt, and I'm excited because this week was another fast-paced week of dance. It just like hits you over the head, and away we go. But let me introduce all my co-hosts before we get to discussing the duels. Over here, to my left, Amy.
Hey, I am Amy Cassandra. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmyCassandra_TV. Also on Daytime Divas and American Ninja Warrior.
You're all over the place.
Oh,
TK, you do a lot of shows too.
I don't even want to go with this. Try not to think about all that. My name is Tiege Trinidad. You can find me on everything at Tiege Trinidad. I'm pulling up the live chat, so, talk to us.
Love that. And you know what? We don't have Becky with the good hair here this week, but
we've got probably don't put that together.
She's just like, no, don't do it. You put it in my head, TK.
I know.
She's gonna get a bad tweet. It's like, you're that Becky.
No, she's
Becky's
beautiful.
so sweet.
She's beautiful, Becky, who just booked a commercial, by the way.
Oh.
Yes, we are happy for her. We'll have to hear about it when
it's not a
she's
hair
back.
commercial.
Yeah, hopefully not. But Tiege is here. You're
Yes.
from So You Think You Can Dance After Show.
Yes, that's right. It's tomorrow, so tune in. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Tiege DP on pretty much everything. And I really try to do my hair because I know that you guys take it seriously. Becky with the good hair, I needed to replace her, so I took it seriously.
Glad you stepped up your game. I
Very
love
nice.
it. I love it. Let's get right into these duels because we weren't really sure how it was all going to play out. Again, because this is a brand new round to us. We did the qualifying rounds for the last 3 weeks, and same categories when it comes to judging, which was good. So that was easy to understand. But it looks like whomever came in second out of each group then picked someone to duel against, and they kicked it off with Fiction in the upper division, and he decided to duel against Nick Daniels. So it was hip hop versus contemporary. So let's start with Fiction because he went up first. They had already released this audition, but they had released this video clip earlier this week, so I had already watched it. I don't know if you guys had.
You're doing some digging.
I'm doing. I'm doing. You know what? When you're, my brain is on So You Think You Can Dance auditions, and I'm like, my brain's like, what is going on? But no. But I was like looking at this, and I was like, again, another step up, I think, for Fiction than what we've seen on So You Think You Can Dance from him.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, there was a lot. Okay. Truth be told, I thought it was interesting that he chose a song called Fragile because he had already gone like the softer route. And of course, Nick Daniels' song was Wicked Game, and it was totally different. So I was a little bit worried when we were finding out the scores, but I thought he did a good job. I was a little bit surprised that Fiction actually won.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get everyone's thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about Fiction?
Here's my thing overall about this particular show is that emotion and storytelling won out. And I feel like with Fiction, he was telling a story, and with Nick, it felt like he's amazing. I'm not taking that away from him, but I feel like he stacked in the tricks. Like, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then he kind of added different elements of emotion here and there. Whereas if you can do the storytelling plus the tricks, to me, it feels like the dance shows that I have seen. I'm not, the queen. That I've seen, it feels like that combination wins out, especially if you don't have to, if you don't do, when you do the storytelling, you tell what's behind it, yeah, that's fine, because it can go on the cheesy side, we don't want to hear that, but you can actually see the story as it plays out. That's why I actually thought Fiction took it.
I want to add something to what you just said, TK, because I saw both Nick and Fiction at the recent World of Dance Live that they did up at Universal Studios, and spoke to both of them, and I had asked both of them, did you change your dances after seeing the competition? Fiction said no, because I need to be myself. I need to be true to who I am. I need to be authentic. Nick said yes. And I completely agree with you. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but I felt like there were too many tricks that he threw in the kitchen sink, which, you have a tendency to do, especially when you're younger.
Right.
And I think that it almost looked out of control instead of grounded, because we know he can do those tricks with his eyes closed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if he put the right music to it too, even if he just had that and then change the music. Because you know how there's some dances where like the music almost crescendos and now you can throw in all these tricks. Like that would have worked out, but it was just like the music, I love the music, but it's just like there was no connection there. And I definitely feel way more connection when you're like, okay, this person's telling a story, especially when you kind of get the gist of where the story's going. And, you know, and then with hip hop, the song that he picked, like the fast and the slow movements and how he was able to articulate it with his body, absolutely amazing. And then that's why I had to look up the song. So Tech Nine, Fragile, just in case. Kendrick Lamar, amazing. Kendall Morgan, amazing.
Love.
So even that, like that combination of the like everything, that combination I thought was great.
Yeah, and I was nervous because I love Fiction so much, and I loved Nick the first week. I think he's incredible. You know, his lines in the first dance, I was crying watching his solo. And then I think he just got a little bit nervous the second round and just tried to pull out all the stops, which absolutely I was so impressed. His extension, I don't even know if he's human.
He's not.
But no. I was a little bit sad. It just felt a little bit thrashy at points. But I mean, obviously, you can't take his technique away from him. And I hope he comes back because he's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, they're both really young, and I'm going to say this, but like one's 18 and the other's 22. And in those 4 years, and if you go back and watch Fiction in season 10, you see his growth. So when we're looking at Nick at 22, he's going to be a man at that point too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's little things that you learn, especially we never stop learning. Well, you know, the smart ones never stop learning. But there's certain things that you learn, especially in competition, that is just like life lessons. And then you can't you know, go out too fast. Like, you know, you almost have to know what your pace is, and you can't go against anybody else because when the kicker, now I'm really doing a track reference, but when you come on the kicker, it's just like, if you know you can't handle that, then you should have paced yourself the whole way through. If you know you can handle the kicker, then you do it. So I think with him, he's going to kind of learn, you know, what works for him, what brings those 9s or 10s, or if he's in that type of competition versus kind of taking it back a little bit.
Well, I do have to say, I admire how Fiction just kind of relied on himself and his talents, because he did say that 80% of that routine was freestyled, which, like, that's insane to me. But I don't know, like, I thought he did a really good job, and I do agree with you guys about Nick Daniels just kind of showing us all the technique that he has, which we already knew. But there was something just missing from Fiction, but I don't know. I know.
I was nervous.
That's okay, though.
Right.
Yes.
If we had a panel that agreed all the way across, it's boring. No, because it's art, you know, and it's subjective, and we look at it, and, you know, if you listen to what even Derek was saying to Fiction, he was like, you know, I liked a little bit more of the planned moments from you versus some of the freestyle. So
Right.
I mean, some people could say that if you don't plan more, it's almost like, well, I'm just gonna wing it.
Right.
Like, who cares, right? But I don't think it should be taken like that, because with Fiction, he obviously cares about what he's doing, but that's just his style, and that's okay.
And it depends too on how great of a freestyler you are. So if you take like a rap reference, for instance, Jay-Z, he can go in the studio, no notes needed, and lay down a track. Some people don't have that skill.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like it's the same thing. Like, because even though he said that, I didn't feel like, because you know how sometimes you're trying to plan something out and you kind of stutter in your mind, and now you do the uhs and the ums as a host. If you're that good, like I saw Oprah in person. If you're that good, you know, he was that good, because I didn't even feel like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, it just felt like he knew the music so much, and he probably maybe added some stuff here and there, but it was just like he felt the music and he was telling that story. So, I mean, I'll take it.
I will too. And I think
Watcher Carter says, I just want to go to bed. Okay.
Well, no, continue watching our show right now, and then you can go to bed. Yeah.
Thanks, Carter.
Caught me off guard a little bit.
All right. So it was 90.7 for Fiction and 87.7. Still very close. It wasn't one of those where it was like clean sweep or anything like that. I don't think any of them were clean sweeps at all this week. So, and one thing to note is that the contestants also picked their songs too. So it wasn't just like, here's a duel, good luck with this song, here you go. Obviously people were able to plan a little bit and pick songs that meant something to them, or something that they've done before, so they were familiar with music.
How do you think people choose their song choice overall in competitions? Do you think they go more with them, or what they feel the crowd will do or react to?
I think that there's always strategy when it comes to the competition world, because if you've done something the year before, you kind of want to do a 180 to show growth or whatever that is. So I think for someone like Nick, he was probably, I felt like he already had the song chosen, and then he had a dance planned, and then he's like, okay, wait, let me just add a couple of things that I already have from the tricks. So that's why I
want to see what his dance would have looked like without the tricks.
It might have scored better.
I liked the story the first week from him. I liked
because
the
it was
connection,
authentic,
right? There was a lot for me to hold on to. This week I wasn't as into it.
Yeah.
And when he performed at World of Dance Live at Universal, he was great. So I think again, nerves, the competition, the inexperience sometimes of like being on a major stage like this.
The Art of War.
Art of War.
Needs to read that book.
We move on to the teen competition. This was Swing Latino versus the Miami Allstars. And I'm going to be honest, in my head, I was like, this is going to be an easy duel.
Oh, who did you pick?
In my head, I thought like right away, Swing Latino was just going to mop the floor with the Miami Allstars, because I thought that they squeaked by into
the Miami Allstars?
Yeah, the Miami Allstars squeaked by into this round, and I was like, I thought they were kind of sloppy, but that's not exactly how it played out in terms of like, I thought that this was fairly evenly matched.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how. Oh no, I was very surprised at how into it I was, because remember last time I was talking about, I think it was Swing Latino. They had their sparkly red outfits, and it was just like, well, that's too much. But I loved it this time, and that trick at the end when that dancer just flew upside down, and the other dancer caught her. Just like, what? That was so insane to me that I was so in it.
And you're talking about Swing Latino.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
confused.
Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm talking about Miami All-Stars to me.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, red outfits. It's like, what? Like,
No.
Well, let's just clarify for the podcast people that, she's talking Swing Latino.
Swing Latino. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Swing Latino, last time I said they were all right. They were too flashy with their outfits, but this time I was like, I'm game, because they really pulled all the tricks in all the right ways. That toss was insane, and just the energy and everything, it was awesome. And Miami All-Stars, they put up a fight, and I really think they did well.
They were much cleaner.
Yeah.
They had a lot more technique.
Yeah.
They tried, but it was like David and Goliath. Like, it was so. What the references today, right?
You got a bag of tricks over there, TK.
Right? Get a little bit of sleep. This is what happens. I don't know. I definitely liked Swing Latinos. Like, it was just crazy. Like, their outfits were like amazing. Their footwork, how quick it was. Like, that's just doing the footwork minus the tricks. Like, you're out of breath.
And the energy level you need to maintain to get through that routine.
And then if you, I wish they would have did more close-ups, because even their facial expressions with the dance, like, I love, like, it gave me, like, that music just gives me goosebumps, because sometimes there's a lot of pain to make that music, you know, there's a lot of history behind that music. So it's just kind of like that Cuban Latina, and a lot of the drums and stuff is like African drums. So I just love the music in a whole, and then how they told the story, and then that finisher.
Insane.
Like,
Insane.
Yeah, because
it was
she
just
went
like,
this way.
Yeah.
Right?
She had to go up and over this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then back.
And if they timed it wrong, because he was high too, if they timed it wrong and he caught her wrong, the force from her body would have pushed him back. And then all of that, and then to have her.
Crazy. I love them.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I think the biggest thing for them that makes them a standout performance is the energy. Like, you can feel it through the TV. I can't even imagine sitting there. I mean, they're so full out. There's no fooling around.
Did you see Miami All-Stars' face after they performed? They did a pan of them?
Did they not?
Were they all like,
excited?
Their faces looked like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And then they went out with, to me, they went out with like, okay, we're gonna try to do this to the best of our ability, but you almost, like, I don't know, some of them felt defeated, or I don't know what it was. I mean, even if they did the performance perfect, there's just no.
I would hate going second.
Yeah,
I would too. I do want to say though, I felt like Miami All-Stars did 100 times better
Right.
on their second outing.
Yeah.
It was cleaner. It did look like a Broadway show, and it's hard when you have swing versus like this Colombian salsa, which is just like, holy cow, you're hit over the head with it. And I will say, like with Swing Latino, oftentimes I get with some dancers, I don't like too many facials, but theirs is perfect because it maintains this high level. You need that energy, you need that engagement, and it works for what they're doing.
I just think of like Celia Cruz when she's dancing and her face, like how she, like everything she does, like you can just see it. Like that's what I felt like. I'm feeling goosebumps now just thinking about them. Like they're just, I don't know. I mean, come back.
Well, and
next
here's
year.
the thing. Well, no, that's the thing too. You'd go back and you'd watch the Swing Latino number. Like we would all go to like YouTube right now and go check it out. I don't know if I'd necessarily need to see Miami Allstars. It was really good, and I thought they did a great job, but we've seen other numbers similar to this by other groups and on other dance shows.
Although the last part for Miami Allstars where they did that group crawl, that was a really great. That was a good, like, all right, but they just needed more with that.
Oh,
See,
yeah, I did like that ending.
For me, I like that they showcased some individuals in their group with Miami Allstars. They showed some fuetes, and then some b-boy moves. So, that was nice. It wasn't enough, but it was really nice that they did focus on some of the dancers.
Yeah, they're definitely a versatile group, which I don't think I saw that in their first performance. I saw that they could do a lot more than I realized, but again, it was a tough one to come after.
I know. You start thinking, like, Swing Latinos had 2 really great rounds. Should we be paying even more attention to them?
Right.
It's one of those things because they're from Colombia. We're so focused in some ways, like on the Twins is over here, and like the Kinjas are here, and Fiction's here. But I'm like, is this like a sleeper dance group that we're like, wait, we should be waking up to this a little bit more?
It depends on what they bring out their next. Wait, after this one there's that, and then the finals, right?
The cut.
That's the cut.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see who's left. I thought, well, this whole episode to me was just like, wait, what do you mean? Out of those 2 amazing performances, only one is left?
Yeah.
But I was okay with this one.
Oh yeah, this one was a hands down.
Yeah.
There was no.
I didn't think that Miami Allstars was going to be beating Swing Latino, and I think they probably knew it too, honestly.
Which kind of sucks.
It does.
But, I mean, this is World of Dance, so we need to still, for them even competing at this point, they made it through already. They came really far. Good for them. But it's not meant to be.
No, I know.
I know, it's just so sad. But it's okay.
But again, if you're at the Olympics of dance, and again, you make it, this is incredible to be on the show because it's a global show. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, you're correct. Technically, if you go to the Olympics, you're Olympian, and nobody can take that away from you.
Ever. Yep.
Even.
And not everyone can get that
Bruce
gold medal, and
Bruce or Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Bruce.
I think Caitlin's listed as the winner now.
Oh, did they switch it?
I believe so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Swing Latino got a 91.7, by the way, and then Miami Allstars is 88.3. All right, let's go into the junior round, and this girl, Eva Igo, my goodness, and then versus Keone. And I think that it was interesting the way they sort of set this up. They're like, here are Janet Jackson dancers, and then here's little Eva Igo from Minnesota. You kind of knew that this is how it was going to play out, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think it was interesting because we started off with the upper division with Fiction doing hip hop and Nick doing contemporary, and we kind of had the reverse situation here. So I think that I'm glad kind of that we got to see contemporary win out on this one.
It was definitely technique versus experience, and they did touch on that, but I think Eva for me is like the top. Like she's just amazing, and she brought so much more maturity to this performance. I thought that it's just like she's already super strong, and you can see her muscles, but her face this time around, I was just like, like, you go, girl. You stretch that leg and do that. And, I mean, I did enjoy the facials from Keone, but it was apples and oranges. So that's why I'm still a little bit like, how do they even judge these 2 performances?
Right.
Because it's so different. But, of course,
Yeah. I think same thing, storyline. Like, she had an amazing storyline. What I would have loved, I don't know if this is like a music issue, But if they had like the original James Brown or had a male doing that song, especially like with a deeper voice, like that would have just, to me, just took it like from 99 to like 110. Like it just, that was just like to me, that was the thing missing, and it has nothing to do with her.
Right.
She, like, the emotions was there, the storyline was there, her facial expressions were there. Like she just felt, she had all the skills, and it's like battle, like, you know, they were battling at each other, and she's like, I'm not ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I love, like that's what I meant when this whole episode was just about storytelling, because she was telling that story. Like, yeah, everybody's telling me that I can't do this because I'm a woman, because I'm small, because I'm this, because I'm that. F you, I'm gone. So
Love it. She's such a
amazing.
cutie patootie. She just seems like such a genuine, like, I just want to squeeze her. She's so cute and innocent and adorable.
Yeah.
And Kinte's very cute too. But I think that the movement they were doing, I could see why they're so popular on YouTube and stuff, because their movement's incredible if you get it like at a really cool angle, you know, stuff like that. And their videos are awesome. But I think that it doesn't always translate directly to the stage, because there's so much room on that stage. And you have to really, if you're going to like just be two people, you got to fill it up.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't see that as much as I feel like I would feel it in a video, you know, just because opposed to the stage.
Yeah, you know, and as you're talking, I was just kind of thinking, Kinte is at that age where they've been really fun, like, junior hip-hop dancers,
Right.
and they need to start moving their choreography with a little bit more maturity, a little bit more gravitas to it. And I think that they're going to have to kind of discover what that is and how that is, and work with choreographers that are going to bring that out with them so that they can grow in their career, because they've already had tremendous success.
Janet.
Right.
Yeah, Janet. They've been on the Ellen Show, America's
Retired.
Got Talent. They're great. And I think what you forget too is that Eva is 14. She's a peanut. She's a tiny little
How old is,
14-year-old.
you,
I was looking at Kinte trying to find their age, but I believe that they're under 14. Like
Okay.
they
Well,
look
yeah,
like
they're
they're
juniors,
12.
yeah.
Yeah.
11, 12.
Yeah.
Well, they're Canadians, so shout out to Canadians. Yeah, I just felt like they were relying on their skills from the past versus, like, it almost kind of felt like they were phoning it in. Like, I'm not taking away from their performance. Like, it wasn't like it was lazy or anything like that, but it just felt like they were just relying on these skills, and I didn't feel any type of story. I didn't feel like, it almost felt like somebody whispered in there, it's like, all right, you guys already have this, and they just showed up.
They're well rehearsed, and they've probably done a number, whether it's this particular number 1,000 times or something very similar, and they're like, okay, great. And they can just, they're on autopilot almost.
Right.
They didn't treat it any differently than maybe they would have other things, because they even said, Eva might have the technique and everything, but we have the experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, you do have certain kinds of experience, but you don't know everything that Eva has, you know? She's got a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and the audience really loved Eva.
Oh, yeah.
They were shouting her
Standing
name.
ovation and- yeah.
I think we all know that she's going to go very far.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted them because, you know, I pull for my Canadians, but yeah, they didn't do it.
Yeah. You definitely knew that Eva was going to make it. And the other thing is, Eva, when she was listening to the judges, she is a really good student. You know that, like, she takes the comments. She's someone that absorbs it. She's somewhat like a teacher's dream. Like,
Yeah.
where you're just
Right.
like, okay, I got this, and I'll take it to a 10 next time, or a 12, or I got it.
That's like the beautiful thing about folks is, like, they're the people who truly make it are the ones who take criticism throughout their whole lives. Then you have the people who take criticism, then they think they have it, and they're like, all right, well, I'm good. Like, you don't need to tell me anything. And then there's the ones who, like, you know, overdose on drugs or something like that. Took it. Like,
That's where they went.
Took it there. Yeah.
That's where they went. Now they're doing drugs.
Yeah. Overactive measure.
No, I do love Eva.
Well, you know, we were talking about Janet Jackson earlier before we came on the air, and, you know, it was really interesting. I had Luther Brown on To The Point today, and he, you know, has worked with Janet multiple times, and he said that when she's trying to get back in shape, she asked him to, like, come to the studio and give her class, like, back to basics, hip-hop class. She's constantly the student working again to get better, to do better, to be a true artist. And he goes, yeah, those are the ones that are the real deal and that stay at that top level all the time. She can go away for a few years, but when she comes back, whatever she wants to do. But it's the Janet that shows up that you expect on that
Yeah.
stage
Right.
for $400, right?
Whew. I want to see her 3 times too, so we'll see. Do you aim Ticketmaster people?
That's why she's the best, though.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Amazing performer. Like I've seen Janet, I've seen Lady Gaga.
Oh my
I've seen,
gosh.
like just as far as performances, like concerts, just amazing. And what a great thing about Janet too is obviously she'll do her old stuff, but what she tries to do is do like the new dance techniques, like infuses it into her concerts, which is I'm really excited to see if she's gonna branch out because she's 51.
How cool. Like, thank you, Janet, for doing that for us. Because she's doing it for us. She doesn't have to do that. We would sit there and watch her lip sync. I mean, you'd probably pay $400 just to do that, you
I
know?
wouldn't pay,
You're not doing
I'm
it.
not paying $400.
She's
but I will
trying
be
to
there.
scam the system.
Not scam, just
Use your resources.
The homie hookup.
Right, the homie hookup.
The homie
I need a homie hookup.
I'll educate you guys.
We need to be hanging out with TK more clearly. So, the score on this one, there was a pretty significant difference in the scores, 89 and 82.7. But even I was like, I would have given Eva, I would have put her in like 91 at least.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think? I feel like she has room to grow.
She does, definitely.
Still
But what
91.
what would you have did they give her any pointers like to improve?
Well, it was said that O'Neill said that she was the entire package, beautiful creature, and she is Derek's favorite. So I don't know anything that they said that it's like improve on this exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like, okay, well, why did you give her an 89
Right.
instead of
Yeah, and the
higher?
one thing is even if you just get one note, something to take back to the
Something,
studio
yeah.
with you so that
Right.
you have that in the back of your mind when you're out there performing. Like they wanted to see more length, more stretch, whatever it was. She's got a lot of that, but
Yeah.
you know, I know you're like, please. But you know what I mean? Whatever that note is. I mean, I know for me when I was dancing, I always needed like one thing.
So
Just
you keep that in your
some-
mind.
yeah.
To think
I'm-
about.
There was one thing that she did that reminded me of like I don't know, it was like one of those scary movies like The Exorcist or something like that, where I think it was coming to the end of her performance where she's on the ground and she did this.
Oh.
It was scary but amazing at the same time. It just like if you had put her in like all black and put her on a set with the scary music, like it would have worked. So kudos.
That was
Maybe
really
that's
cool.
in her future.
I love the cool
Being an
endings.
Exorcist movie.
No, that she's so talented that you can put her in different things, and you're already imagining her in a different
Oh, yeah.
situation. Like, oh, we should see her in this. We should see her in this. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of dance.
She's amazing.
And she's someone too that had a lot of tricks in her routine, but it didn't feel too much. It didn't feel frantic. So you could.
Because she was telling a story.
Well, again, yeah.
It's not a man's world. It's a woman's world.
But that grounds her. So, you know, and I think for Nick, he was like, I'm putting in this trick, and he was probably thinking and then lost whatever his story was
Right.
in the dance.
Yeah.
All right. Then we move on to back to the upper division. So it was Quick Style versus Keone and Mari. And, you know, of course, it's like, of course, Quick Style had studied with Keone and Mari.
Right.
Keone and Mari are tied to also the Kinjas, too, because Keone performs with them, even though he's not performing with them here on World of Dance.
So how does that happen? Do they travel and then they have like dance clinics, or do people come to see them in San Diego, or how does that, or do they do it online? Like what's the...
There's a lot going on in terms of dance. There's conventions that a lot of these top-level choreographers and dancers teach at. There are clinics. There's World of Dance Tour, which a lot of these contestants are also a part of outside of this, and have been, because World of Dance Tour has been around since 2008. So there's different opportunities for all these dancers to connect, which is kind of amazing. And then obviously Quick Style and Keone and Mari have, from that photo that they showed, it looked like they had a long history.
Right.
Everyone looked a lot younger. So
That's probably a nightmare, though, going up against your teacher. You're like, what are you going to do that you didn't teach me? You know?
True. And they were both
Scary.
They were both very clean and polished, but they did say it was going to be about the storytelling and who did better. I want to know what you guys thought. Were you surprised by how well they did, or
When Quick
either
Style came out, it felt like, and then they said it at the end of the performance, like, oh, we did this dance, like we developed this dance in their like house. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So they filmed what in February? Like, when did they do this dance? And was this like a couple years ago? Was this did they just polish it off? Because it felt like like the I hate this term, but it's like almost like the song was kind of like a tropical house, which it was kind of like a dance hall-y feel. And I felt like they could have took that dance and put a little bit more of like dance hall. Like if they threw in some dance hall vibes, like some, you know, you're on your head and you're kind of twerking your hips. Like if they did something crazy like that was enmeshed with the music, that would have made the difference for me. But it just felt like they were just like, all right, well, we're up against them, and I don't know know what they were thinking, but it just didn't feel like they brought it.
That's how I thought.
I know, and I'm like taking a big sigh because I was watching Quick Style and I loved the music choice of Jolene the very first time.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so
I
beautiful.
don't think I connected to the music on this particular one as much. I loved their movement, and I almost felt like they could have picked a different song,
Right.
and those movements would have worked, and then everything would have been really unexpected.
Right.
Which is the problem, though, because it's just like like you were saying, there's just no story. So like, what is the story? Like, even if they did, I don't know if you guys remember Usher. He was like in this club. I forgot the name of the song, but he gets into this club and he tells this whole story, and it's almost the same type of movement. But you're getting, okay, he got the girl. No, he doesn't get the girl. All right, he gets the girl. Like, even if they kind of told that type of story, because it felt like a very club-y dance, like if you were, you know, you and your boys are in the club. Like, they told something like that, then I would have got it. But it just felt like, oh, we're here, and we're going to do this together, and we're going to do this, and now we're going to break up, and then we're going to, like, it's just like,
I think that they got stuck with they got in their head and they said, we showed you guys Jolene last week, now we want to do hip hop. They said that, you know,
Right.
we want to show you that we can do this. You know, I feel like they needed to stay a little bit more what they were doing with Jolene, which was way out of the box, just different movement. I think I would have liked something more. I feel like they thought that they really had to show them hip hop, but I don't think they did.
no.
don't
Yeah,
think
I
that was
totally agree with
necessary.
you. Yeah.
You know?
Because they're so clean, they're so good, they're so interesting.
Yeah.
They really are interesting to watch. Like, I'm captivated when I'm watching them. But I was even more captivated when I was like, Jolene, like, who would have picked that?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
amazing. And I think I was looking for that same sort of musicality.
Yeah. Either the vast difference, because now that you both said it, the music was like tropical house, and the dance was hip hop, and it was either you, because those are kind of infused in today's society, but the country music with the hip hop was so different that it made you look, whereas this one is just like, again, if you threw in a couple of dance hall moves, like it just would have brought it together for me, and I felt like it was just like, oh well, this is good. And I don't know if they know the history or they see the elements of it, I don't know, but it's just kind of like, for me, just personally, it's just like, I just would have, just throw a little, Rihanna, bust the line or something.
Well, and there's so many good hip hop groups now, crews, duos, even someone like Fiction. I'm starting to look at, I don't want everything to look the same. So super fresh when you have like country infused with hip hop. Awesome. Like, great. Give me more of that. It doesn't have to be country, but it could be some sort of elements. It could be a mix or something.
Yeah, hip hop's starting to look the same for me. And I mean, you've got like different people like Ian Eastwood, but it's all kind of that intricate movement. And I feel like if you have the opportunity, like Quick Step did, to do something different, they have really great musicality. I wish they would have just stuck with what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, see, and what really sucks about it was that they went after Keone and Mari, and they told a story that people have been talking about it for a while. It's like, we're always on our phones, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the way they did it, I don't think we'd ever seen on World of Dance someone use phones as a prop.
Yeah.
Or really any props. And so that was already like, what? And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to drop the phone. Because even us as humans, I mean, they're humans too, but just walking, it's like you
Crack
drop your
screen.
phone.
I drop my phone on my face, you guys,
Oh,
because
I
I do
hate
this all the
that.
time.
I hate when that happens.
All the
Yeah.
time.
Makes me feel
Ow.
so dumb.
It's embarrassing.
So then,
Black eye next in.
I'm fine, guys. But for them to be dancing, and it just looks so effortless and just beautiful and simple and classic, but the storytelling and the fact that they were together, and it was nice and very different than what we saw from Quick Style for sure.
And the light stayed on the whole time.
On
like
the phone?
Oh,
that tiny detail made a huge difference, because it's when, you know, when you're like on your phone and you're listening and the light goes up, like I'm sure it was like a prop or something, but that tiny detail made a huge difference, because now that's another like prop, but they're using it and they're dancing with it, and then they toss it away, and then you're still telling the story. Like their performance was incredible, because when I saw them come out, I'm like, man, like you've seen them doing the Biebs thing, you've seen a lot of videos, it's like, okay, well, what can they, you know, essentially pull out their, you know, behind. But they take the basic concept. Like if you look at any movies, TV shows, comic books, and other stuff, it's either based on some version of love or some version of like the creation story and Jesus and Mary and all this other stuff, which is a whole nother issue. But they just took that basic concept and they just, you know, took that basic concept into today's society with the phone, which is ingenious, but also very simple, like you're saying.
Right.
Loved
And
it.
I think it was relatable too. I think everybody's like, oh man, you know, I know that happens.
Yeah.
It always happens.
Put your
Texting.
phone down, people.
Right.
If you're in a relationship, just
put it down.
have a conversation.
Right.
Make it, because
Real life.
You mean I have to talk to my husband?
No.
No, you do.
Yeah, because you don't want to meet Becky with the good hair.
No one does.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh no.
Full circle.
There we go.
Here we are.
But I think the other thing too is that Keone and Mari's style is so special and it's so unique, and you can look at it and yes, we can go, oh, it looks so simple, but again, you can throw two other dancers together and they can take those same simple moves and they will not feel the same. It will not
Right.
look the same because of the connection that those two have together as
Exactly.
husband and wife, but also as performers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Telling a story.
Yeah, I think that was understated. I was like, that's not just simple movement. That's
Yeah.
intricate movement, and that's
The
a
flip
lot of.
on the back where she lands with the phone on her hand.
And then she
Oh.
handstands on it. Yeah,
Like, come
that
on.
could not have been an actual phone. That was like a Lumi light or like a fake.
It could have been, but
prop.
still, like even for them to think of that, I don't know if they
Right.
thought of that or somebody else. I'm sure
did love
because the dance is so detailed. It feels like they're very detailed people too.
Totally.
So it just felt like they thought of that, and to think of those little things, that's what makes like the difference. It's like that half like millisecond that, you know, makes you win the race.
I think that's the coolest thing about World of Dance, and I think that's what makes it kind of a
Definitely.
different show.
Sports reference.
Sports references.
Oh, never mind.
But I think that's what makes it such a cool show, is that right out of the gate we see them at their highest level performing on stage, full out props, costume. You know, that's different than what we see in So You Think You Can Dance. We see those dancers develop, we see them on a dimly lit stage, no effects really yet. And that's kind of like a surprise later. But I actually love the way that World of Dance does it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you see them at the top ability, what they're doing right now, and that's, I think, my favorite thing about World of
The
Dance.
Olympics of dance.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
makes
I
total
love it.
sense.
And it's so unusual, but I kind of like that they're doing like the theater in the round, because it's forcing these dancers and choreographers to also think outside the box or have to recreate their dance and go, okay, wait, I need to play to everyone and I need to play to the camera. There's a lot of elements that they have to think about for, you know, coming onto the show. It's not just like, all right, I'm just going to dance on a flat stage and not worry about the camera.
So now, how does that work? So when they're on the stage and they know this is a stage that they're working with, do they work with the camera person or is there a producer, or do they do that before?
There were two supervising choreographers on the show. One of them was Cassandra Chavez, who won an Emmy alongside Derek and Julianne Hough for a piece on Dancing with the Stars a few years ago, and Kyle Hanamagi. And they were both hired by Nappy Tabs, who are the co-executive producers. And they worked with all of the contestants just for them to understand where the camera placement was, because obviously it's in the round and we've seen the overhead cams as well, and to understand how to play to the audience and play to the judges, because a lot of them had been rehearsing in a square or rectangular studio, and then all of a sudden you're like, here's my camera, here's my camera, here's my camera. This is how we're going to shoot it.
Right.
And they did have run-throughs and stuff on the stage. These are the lighting that we're going to use, and you're not dancing flat, you're dancing 360. So
I saw, I think it was closer to the end of Eva Igo's performance, the camera like went like this and she just looked at it and I was like, yes, that was so perfect and beautiful that it really is a whole nother level of dancing. You know, you have to play to everything, everyone, and still stay true to yourself, which is difficult.
And to Sandra said, and I think you kind of see it a little bit in Nick's performance, he did some sort of like back aerial, and he looks like he was lost a little bit. And she said that, you know, he was struggling at times because he was so used to spotting, like, okay, great, this is my front, this is where I spot. Now you're on a 360 stage and you're like, where am I spotting? Because it all looks the same from every single angle. So some of the tricks you had to be really careful about. And that could have also played into his dance.
Right.
Where you had so many tricks and you're trying to spot and you're trying to find your center.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, he'll learn.
Whole new element.
It is.
And I
It's
really
not
like
easy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, shout out to all our live chatters. So we have Chisholm90, Sammy J, Ruth Ann Nuevo. We don't have. I don't know. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know if there's anybody else that's like the usual suspects. But
Where's Damien?
Damien's not on here. Jamie, Fort Berry. So shout out to all you guys. Sorry I missed some of you guys, but shout out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Y'all are having your own conversation because
Thanks
I'm like,
for
what?
hanging.
Okay.
Well, I read a really great article today, and I just want to throw out this idea to you because NBC News did it, and they talked to the Kinjas and they talked to Keone and Mari, and both of them were saying that they almost didn't do the show because you read it too. They're all professional working dancers, and so to take time out of their teaching, they lose money. Are we doing it? There's the possibility of $1 million, which is great. But they had to sort of like weigh it out personally. Like, should I do this show? And I thought that was a really interesting, like, damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Right. And also, I think it's scary for them. What if they don't do as well as they would hope, and then does it damage their brand? I think that there's a lot that goes into that decision. You don't want to look bad.
Right.
Especially in front of, you know, a national audience, especially if you're already doing well in the industry.
Well, I mean,
But
can
I see it.
they really look bad though? Like, I mean,
No,
I
but-
mean, it's so you have, you know, folks who follow all types of dance,
Right.
and who are professionals who've been in the industry in some way, shape, or form. Then you just have the regular folks who just sit on the couch and enjoy dance that they might not have known some of these acts. So now, you know, instead of 1.9 followers, you now just added another 2.
Right.
You know, so I think either way, maybe there was like 1 or 2 performances in the very beginning where it's like, oh, okay, like you might be great in your hometown, but on a national, like international scale, either way, all these performers look amazing, and this show just opened them up to a whole new audience that might not follow World of Dance closely or all the other competitions. So I think they're gonna benefit
But
from
reality TV, you never know. You
This
never
is
know.
true.
They edit that stuff like crazy, and you sign contracts.
it. Yeah, but
I
it's
mean,
not
I
like
don't know.
Big Brother.
I'm just here.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
they just like
they just do their talent, which makes sense. Like if they had to, if
Right,
there was like
right.
a behind the scenes thing, they
You're
would
so
be like,
right.
oh, okay, like, you know, that's a whole nother thing. But they're just doing their talent, which they're good at because they get paid to do it. It's no different than, you know, us being hosts and all that other stuff. You kind of weigh the cost and benefits. Like, do I continue working at Target, or do I cut off some time to actually work on what I'm trying to do? And, you know, it's like, well, if you work at Target, you don't have time to do what you're trying to do, then you'll be at Target for 10 years. And, you know, the other way.
And also, I'm thinking you're in good hands. You know that Nappy Tabs is co-executive producer. J-Lo's there. Derek
Totally.
Hough is there. Neo's there. Those pieces were already in place by the time the contestants signed on for the show.
You're right.
So you know that it's dancers and they are going to treat you well. Had it been like Mike Fleiss from The Bachelor, he's the executive producer. Had he been producing it? No, and I'm serious.
Right.
But that would have been something that I would have been like, check, I'm out of here. I don't trust him with my story.
No Bachelor in Paradise
Right,
here.
exactly.
No Bachelor in Paradise here. But that was probably something for them that they're like, I know I'm safe.
Right.
You're
They're
right, you're
not
so right.
going to sell my story and you know, it's going to go down the tubes or anything else. They're not going to ruin my reputation.
You're right.
And
You're right.
even just when we started hearing about World of Dance, they were doing a really good job promoting it and saying it's the Olympics of dance and blah. So it's like you already know that you're putting yourself in this position of like a whole bunch of eyes are going to be on you that maybe weren't on you before. So
Yeah.
that exposure helps everyone, even if you're already big, you know. So I say good for them for taking that risk because, you know, it's scary.
Yeah.
But I think it's paying off.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
have their base of dancers, but then there's going to be those group of individuals that, you know, didn't know. And now you have those people. Now, then that translates into products. That translates into even if they branch off and they do their own type of tours. Now there's that reference. You can add that to like your website, like all these little things. And then that website, World of Dance, is tagged with J-Lo. So like you have all the, and then Neo, like you have all these other like tentacles to you, which is amazing. So
yeah, and Keone and Mari have been choreographing on So You Think So You Think You Can Dance for years. However, that's a smaller platform. NBC with J-Lo is a bigger platform, so it just takes them up another, peg on the dance world, which is incredible. So I just thought that was a really interesting thing that, there was a little bit of like, well, should I do it or shouldn't I?
yeah.
You just never know. Also wondering, have you guys been keeping up with the Snapchat duels that they're doing every Monday? Am I the only one?
I gotta
Here
get on
and
that.
there.
What's happening
You're
there?
the digger.
You're the digger.
Just call me the digger, dance digger. Well, this is what I thought was interesting because we've seen Fiction do so well. In Fiction's duels, he is out. So he was in the quarterfinals, and he was beaten by Audrey Case, who was a season 9 So You Think You Can Dance competitor. He obviously was on season 10. She's contemporary. She beat him, and so she's headed onto, we're ready for this though. She's headed onto the semifinals, and she's battling Larry from Les Twins. Super interesting duel. I cannot wait till next
Wait a
Monday.
minute. What? He's
See,
betting just Larry from like
Just Larry, because they're just doing, for the Snapchat show, they're just doing like one person.
Oh.
So she was
I
in.
was like really freaked out.
I was
Yeah.
like, I thought you were
So
on the show. I
No,
was like,
this is the
okay.
Snapchat show, and they're
Okay.
just doing small level duels, and they picked like one representative from each group. If it was like,
Okay.
so like Larry did it,
Oh, sounds like
Audrey
fun.
was in Royal Flux, and they didn't make it past qualifying, so she's representing them, but
Is that
she's
under the World of Dance Snapchat?
World of Dance Snapchat.
Oh.
So,
into
but it was
right now.
interesting watching a season 9 and season 10 competitor, like, go up against each other, and they're like, Audrey, and I was like, you go, and then she's moving on to Larry, and I tweeted her, and I was like, oh my God, you have to battle Larry? That's amazing. She's like, I
Wow.
know, in the semifinals. That's awesome.
You've given
That
me
is
homework.
awesome.
I am on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I wonder
me too.
what
That's
the
exciting.
Homework,
final
everyone.
what the final point is. Like, what do they get?
I don't know if they get anything other than maybe like
Bragging
the glory
rights.
of
Woo,
like, you won the
Snapchat.
Snapchat show. There's not like
Okay.
$1 million riding on that, but they
Yeah.
just,
So fun.
they've done some really interesting social media experiments. We
Oh,
talked about the
yeah.
virtual reality
yeah.
stuff that they're doing, and of course, Snapchat is just kind of an extension of the show and the brand, which I thought was
Thank you
interesting.
so much.
I'll see how everyone does next week. Make sure everyone watches the Snap. I'm gonna have to write to Becky and be like, first of all, download the app. I'm trying to get her on
Always
Twitter and
forget Becky
Snapchat.
at the
I know. poor
We're
Becky.
gonna have to talk to her. Yeah.
All right, you guys. We had a great show, and we've got another round coming up next week. I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be good.
I know. Thank
So
you all for all of
excited.
your insight, and I'm glad we kind of had a little bit of a little bit of dissension, which I think is good. Because you can't agree on everything,
That is true.
It wouldn't be like that.
All right. Well, Tiege, tell us where we can find you.
Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm so sad I'm gonna be watching next week. Maybe I'll be live.
So you
messaging,
think-
at Tiege DP. That's where you can find me.
Get the wrap up music.
I know. I'm like,
like the
First,
Allstars.
shout out to not shout out. Prodigy from Mobb Deep. He passed away. Really sad about that. You guys don't know who he is. Really great hip hop artist. Just sad story, but amazing story. He has a book out. My name is TK Trinidad. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. You can also find me on TMZ as well as a billion other shows on AfterBuzz and FNA Podcast and XPac 12360.
Woo!
no,
I'm Amy Cassandra. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AmyCassandra_TV. And also tomorrow we'll be filling in on the So You Think You Can Dance panel, and I will be on American Ninja Warrior panel as well.
Yeah. And I'm at Kristyn Burtt on Twitter and the Kristyn Burtt on Instagram. And next week on To The Point, we have Brittany Cherry from Dancing with the Stars. So come join me Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for joining us here. World of Dance on AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.